Hello, pro wrestling fans. It is I, Joe Monroe, and tonight is the Wednesday night special. That's right, we have a special guest, James Harris, coming on tonight. He is the current Strong Style Pro Extreme and one half of the Tag Team Champions. But before we get started, let's go ahead and shout out some sponsors. First and foremost, we want to give a big shout out to Phenomenal Finds ATL. If you're looking for anything retro, check out phenomenalfindsatl.com. They may have it. Also, a big shout out to Charms Photos. Crystal, who is a wonderful person, takes promo photos not only of professional wrestlers, but she takes professional photos of pretty much anything. If you don't believe that she's a great photographer, look at James Kendrick chopping the living crap out of Adrian Alexander. I think I see Adrian's soul leave out of his body, I tell you. But you know what? Let's go ahead and let's get started with the show. Mark. Yeah, bro. Graphic, you idiot. Sorry. Never work with family people. But as you all know, our guest tonight is a good old boy like myself. Professional wrestler. Looks like he's been doing this for 9 years. Wow, 9 years. Great guy, all the way from Virginia, folks. Let me introduce you none other than to James Harris.
Whoa. Howdy, howdy. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good. You're a little late on that, Mark. My brother, he's an idiot.
Please remain seated.
How you doing, man?
Hopefully you're doing all right yourself there, man.
I'm not doing too bad today. Thank you. Well, let's go ahead and let's get started. First question I got right out the gate. It's the question I always ask people on the show. What in the heck got you loving this crazy sport we call professional wrestling?
Oh, me. I get asked that question quite a bit, actually. And it's one of those things, man. I remember being this little knee-high to a grasshopper kid, and I'm watching guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm watching The Undertaker, Tommy Dreamer. And it was something I always loved. And I remember from like a young age telling my mom I wanted to do this. And it was like, oh, it's 1 in a million, 1 in a million, 1 in a million. And when I was 17, I found out there was a school like 30 minutes from where I lived. And I was like, oh, I'm here for it.
All right. And who was the gentleman that trained you?
Warlock.
Oh, okay. How long did you train for before actually getting your very first match?
So I trained for a little bit better than a year before I finally made my actual professional debut. Mm-hmm. It took a lot of work.
Oh, trust me, I totally get that, man. Totally get that. But you started off. What year did you start your first official match?
Shit, that would have been 2016. Because I was still in high school.
It's one of those things that doesn't seem too far away, but you look back and you're like, oh God, that's been.
You're not wrong. You're sitting there like, oh yeah, that was just yesterday. No, it's almost 9.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. But you started off. Did you start off? I know you're from Virginia. Is that where you started out at? Is it your home state?
Yeah. I was living in Altavista time, and Billy he had just opened his first incarnation of the Strong Style Performance Center in Lynchburg, which was 30 minutes away at the time. So it wasn't too bad of a drive to go train. And Billy, great dude, and all of the guys I trained with, it was a great crop of talent. Became a really good family, really close, really quickly. And honestly, I still in touch with everybody.
So you're still wrestling. You've been with them since day one.
Yeah, I've wrestled for Billy since the start. Like that was who I made my debut for because he the promoter for Strong Style Pro. Yeah, he was with, and I've been on every SSP show since I started. The only one I think I missed was one because I had to have a knee surgery.
So SSP Strong Style. What came about that? What's the origin story of SSP for those that may not know with it?
So, like, as far as like how did Billy come up with it?
Yeah. And how did you become associated with it?
So, Billy is very much old school catch as catch can wrestling. Um, Gotch, Billy Robertson, Luthez. Strong Style Pro is essentially for the, how do I put it? It's for the guys that are wanting to add in that old school flair. It is for the guys that like hold those old school days near and dear to their hearts. It has evolved recently. You know, there's some more high flyers coming onto the roster and everything, but that base group of guys that you had like Billy Monster, you've had me, you know, Psycho Carl, you know, it was guys that value that old school hard hitting smash mouth style. And the way I became affiliated, I found out that Billy was training people in Lynchburg. And like I said, this was 30 minutes away from me at the time. And so I'm 17 years old and take a shot on it. It's like, hey, you know, I heard you were training people. How do I get involved? And that conversation sparked a near decade-long friendship. And Billy Warlock, somebody I hold close to my heart, good friend of mine now. I see dude almost every day. I'm even helping him train the next crop of students at the school now.
Wow, that's gotta. All right, so you say that. What's that feel like? You know, you've been in the business for a while. You can probably consider yourself for a vet. How's that feel? Helping train the next generation of professional wrestlers.
Dude, honestly, it's still really. I feel like there's still so much I can learn, and here I am teaching these new guys, and it's wild because we have guys in there that are doing things I could never think about doing. We've got this cat that trains with us. He just made his debut a couple weeks ago. Goes by the name of Afro Under, and he goes in the ring and he's just doing 450 splashes off the top rope like first try, and I'm like, I'm sitting here like, man, that's something you're not gonna see my big 300-pound ass going up there doing that, man.
Absolutely not. Nope.
The most you get out of me off the top rope is the occasional swanton, and that's it. Like, and even that is a very seldom thing.
Right. So we talked a little bit throughout the week, and me and you basically view professional wrestling as the same. You talked about just a moment ago. You were talking about you can learn a lot, and one thing we talked about is especially when I wrestled, one thing I've always kept in mind a rule, and this is why I tell people all the time: you never stop learning in professional wrestling.
Never, man. There is always somebody out there that can teach you something else. Dude, one of the first things they told me when I first started training was, if you can learn from somebody else, learn from them, because you can talk to 10 different wrestlers. You're going to get 10 different answers on how to do a wrist lock.
Right.
Like, you're going to get 10 different answers on how to do a suplex. Like, it's all about finding your niche and finding what fits you.
Right, and that's great advice too. And but with the excuse me. So right now you are the Extreme Champion, which I want to take is basically Strong Style Pro's version of the Hardcore title, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, it is the Strong Style Pro incarnation of the Hardcore Championship.
Okay, that and you're one half of the tag team title. So let's talk about that for a moment. How in the heck did you? Because first off, I've seen some of your matches. You catch as catch can, old school brawling style. Then you win the hardcore title. I know we talked a little bit throughout the week too. You're like, I don't care. I want to learn it all. And for you to have the extreme title, that's pretty cool. So what came about that, doing the different styles of wrestling?
So when I first started training, it was a gentleman by the name of Psycho Carl, and if you've followed my career, you know me and that dude have beat the piss out of each other across 3 different states. And he told me, he's like, always make sure you're valuable to whatever show you're on. To me, that sparks in my brain of, okay, I want to be that guy that the promoter can call on if he needs a tag team. He can call me and Rex Keller. If he needs a singles guy to come out there and brawl, he can come out there and brawl. If you need a guy that's not afraid to get down and dirty with the hardcore, you can call him. For me, it was all about wanting to be somebody that the promoters can trust and rely on to fill a spot if it comes up. Being that valuable asset to anybody that I work with.
No, that's great. And do you think that's what wrestlers? I know you can say you came up with it in a different era. As we move on to the next generation, is that probably what you would advise the next generation coming up? Like, hey, once you find your niche, kind of sort of learn that every style, whether it be like that, extreme hardcore style, or whether it be like classic wrestling or strong style brawling. Is that something you would strongly advise folks if they want to do that?
So I do advise to learn as much as you humanly can. I do know, hardcore, extreme, that is not everybody's thing. Everybody does not want to dabble in that. And I get us to. Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Okay. There for a moment. Sorry.
You're good. But like hardcore is definitely something that it takes a lot out of you. A lot of times than a normal match would. Because now you're working into going through tables and getting hit with chairs and barbed wire and falling into thumbtacks. So it's not something everybody is cool doing, and that's fine. If hardcore is not your thing, by all means don't dabble. But if it's definitely something I still feel like has a place in this business.
No, absolutely. Actually, a good friend of mine, James Manley, known as James Kendrick in the business, he stated everyone needs to have some knowledge of all styles of wrestling. And that's basically what me and you talked about, too. And that's what he's kind of learned from me, because I learned a lot from him, too. And that's what I think is kind of missing. Like back in the day, we'll go territory days, you never know what kind of match you're going to get into.
Right. Like you could show up one night and it's, you got to go barbed wire steel cage, or the next town you make, it's, hey, need you in a 6-man tag. Like you never really knew.
Right. Let's see. Oh, actually, we got another comment. Jonathan Walking. Sorry, buddy, I didn't see you. What's up? Sports for you, wrestling in the house. You guys go check them out, folks. But yeah, man, I don't blame you. So you go from extreme, then you're also one half of the tag. So what style would you feel like you're more comfortable with?
So to be fair, man, as long as I'm in the ropes, I'm comfortable. I love being in there no matter what situation it is. No matter if I'm swinging a chair at somebody, if it's me and Rex in there, if I'm just in a nitty-gritty technical style match, I love being within those ropes, and it's always been a comfort place for me. As somebody with a lot of anxiety, that's actually something that it's an escape. So like anytime I'm in those ropes, it's comforting.
Oh, actually, that's probably the greatest answer I've heard. That's probably the broad answer, because other people, I get answers like, hardcore or tag, but no, I have to agree with you. Being in the ring is definitely great. But speaking of great, we're going to take a little bit of an ad break here, folks. Believe it or not, James, I had a little bit of trouble, and I may have to go a little hardcore on one that was on my website previously, because those jackwagons didn't give any of the fans their stuff. So you know what I had to go and do? I had to go out and get my own. I had to go out and get my own other website. And actually, Uncle Tony here, he's going to tell you. Go ahead, Tony, take it away.
Yes, buddy. Joe, you are 100% correct. We are officially on Redbubble under Joe Monroe Show. For some odd reason, they won't let us add the. But we have No So Round Table stickers. We have Mark Monroe design stickers. Really, you put Mark's design, but not mine. And we even have some t-shirts. So go check us out right here at Joe Monroe Show on Redbubble. And if you know any designs that you want, let us know. But here is the website link right here. Go check us out.
All right. Thank you, Tony, for that. And go check us out on Redbubble. We got the website right here, folks. Let's go ahead and get back to our guest. Rusty, how you doing, buddy? It's good to see the Bear Hunter back here. Rusty,
how you doing?
Tonight. So, James, let's go ahead. Let's get into your character, James Harris. tell the folks just a little bit about that character, because you said that when we were talking, that's totally different from you, like that the actual you.
So James Harris, the person, and James Harris, the character, are two completely different animals. It's really weird to be able to go from playing my video games, relaxing, playing with my daughter who's sitting right here beside me, to going out there, becoming almost like this malicious, cold-hearted, willing to do anything to hurt his opponents. It's almost like the character part is like the dark recesses of my brain.
Do you find it hard sometimes to kind of like turn it off with you being like two bipolar opposites? Like, okay, it's go time to get into that character mode, but okay, now it's time to wind down. Do you kind of find that hard to do sometimes?
So a lot of times it's easier to snap in than it is to snap out. Like, dude, there's been times where like kids have cried during intermission because like I like just got out of the ring and I'm still like snapped in. So sometimes like when I'm going to get in character, like the biggest thing is like when I put on my entrance jacket, when I put on my vest, that's usually the switch. Because beforehand, I'm in the back. I'm listening to whatever music's blasting through my headphones. And if you ask my wife, I have the most bipolar playlist known to mankind. She's over there nodding her head. But I'm in the back and I'm listening to whatever's on that playlist. And like it's a mosh of different things, man. And then it's when I put that jacket on, it's when that switch hits. It's when that switch hits, and I like spraying water on my head. The hair gets down into my face and everything else, and I put on that entrance mask, and it's go time. I go out that curtain, and I'm there. I'm zoned in. I'm ready to go out there and put on a show and give the fans something they're going to remember.
So, what would you say? You're not funny. Something. What's probably one of your favorite moments in your career so far?
Dude, one of my favorite moments of my career thus far.
Yeah,
man. I could go into a lot of different one. What's that?
I said if you got more than one, you can go more than one.
So as cheesy as it sounds, man, the fact that my grandma was able to win a championship before she passed away definitely holds a near and dear place to my heart. She's sitting front row the night me and Rex made our debut, which was also the night we won our first set of 3 tag team titles.
Wow.
So the fact that I was able to do that and my grandma was sitting front row, and not only that, my mom was there, my brother was there, which to this day is the only show my brother has ever come to. My dad, my sister. I mean, I had fans come down from Pennsylvania to see that show. So that was definitely a cool little moment to have. As far as in-ring things, oh man, I got to and Nikolai, of course, he's like the legit Russian. When we got to the locker room, he was like the stereotypical grandpa. He was so cool. Like he was in the back teaching us card tricks. He's showing us card tricks and everything. And at this point in time, I'm 19 years old, and he singles me out. And hey, young boy, come here. He sits me down on the bench, puts his hand on my shoulder, and just like he's my grandpa, and I'm gonna give you some advice, son. Yes, sir. What's the most dangerous food you can ever eat? Causes nausea, vomiting, suicidal thoughts or actions, extreme depression. He just rattles off this list of side effects. And I don't know, sir. What? And just without batting an eye, he goes, "Wedding cake."
Oh man, that's great.
And about 30 minutes later, I'm walking beside him as he's going up to for a match because he wrestled to the very end. And we're standing there, and there's this Russian guy in the ring sitting in this USA. And he looks at me, he goes, "Hey, young boy, they chant USA." I don't know why. Up your sister's ass.
Oh, jeez.
His music hit. He walked out the curtain. That was the last thing Nikolai Volkov said to me.
Oh man. Oh. So let's talk about some of your nicknames here. The Violence Master, the Last of a Dying Breed. What came up with those two nicknames?
So the Violence Master was spawned for me finding creative and innovative ways to basically hurt people when I'm within the ring. Something as simple as a calf crusher, finding a new way to apply it that's making the ring announcers cringe, that's making the guys in the back freak out. Oh no, that's making the fans look at it and go, "Oh no, he just broke his leg." And when I say new innovative ways, I go back to the night I was wrestling Jack Tatum in North Carolina, and I applied the calf crusher, but instead of doing it in the ring, I wrapped his knee up around the turnbuckle, and I pushed back and pulled his ankle towards me. And I looked, and the WCW star Maestro was sitting on commentary. And I just see him get this look of, "Oh my God, he just killed this kid's leg." And that was where I go, okay, creative violence seems to kind of be my thing. So like that's when I started dabbling more into the hardcore side of things. If you ask me, hardcore and deathmatch are not the same thing at all.
Right.
And honestly, this goes into what spawned the SSP Extreme Championship as well. When I think hardcore, I think about guys like Steve Blackman, Crash Holly, Alton, those guys that were in the WWF in like '98, defending that title 24/7 in the airports and the playgrounds and in the concession stands.
Yeah.
And I'm like, nowadays, when somebody references hardcore, they immediately drift into, "Oh, well, that means that they're mutilating themselves with barbed wire, or he's getting body slammed onto gusset plates." And to me, that aligns more with deathmatch than hardcore, which I also do say deathmatch still has a place in this business. But I feel like hardcore is more about being the toughest time under any circumstances, not just going out there and bleeding buckets in every ring.
Right. So let's talk about your stable real quick. The Nation of Chaos. What came about that? I know you said you and your partner Rex Keller started off your debut as one of the tag team championships. But what came up with that, the name, and what's how can I say this? What is the agenda of the Nation of Chaos? There we go. There's something.
Okay, so when me and Rex debuted, we debuted under the moniker of Sons of Rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, these two outcasts that not a lot of people would have looked at, not a lot of people would have booked. We were basically rebelling against society at that point. We were misfits. We were out to prove a point. Nation of Chaos now as a whole is turning into a larger conglomeration. While like me and Rex Keller are still Sons of Rebellion, Nation of Chaos to spread beyond that. You're going to see more people than just me and Rex in the future doing that, and it's all that same agenda. It's those misfits that they might not have your traditional style, they might not have your traditional look, they might have been cast aside by other promoters. It's a group of people that look like they shouldn't be making it with the goal of making it. and doing it in the most chaotic fashion possible, basically disrupting the professional wrestling. Because nowadays it's, you got to be 6'7", jacked muscles, and or you got to be able to do a 360 50 backflip off the top rope. And we found out that it just with us to be that group of people that you wouldn't expect would be able to go in there and move it. So in that sense, we're causing chaos throughout the system.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense now. Final question here: what is the future of James Harris? What do you want your future to be in the sport of professional wrestling?
So ultimately, everybody's goal should be to make it to a big stage, whether it be your TNAs, your WWE, your AEW. Me, if I make it to one of those, cool. If I stay on the indies where I'm at now, I am content because I do what I love. I do what I love, and honestly, if as far as I go is wrestling in Kentucky or North Carolina, hey, cool. I still do what I love, so I'm content either way. But would I like to see myself hit the bigger stages? Yes. A number of guys that are on that bucket list that I want to step in that ring with. There are fans out there that have given me bucket lists of guys they want to see me get in that ring with. And to me, that's actually a really cool thing to think about. One of the biggest compliments I have gotten in recent memory was somebody that I resembled a younger version of John Moxley when I'm in the ring. And in that same breath told me that if me and Mox were on the marquee for any event, they would travel to come see it. So to me, that's really cool. So I'd like to be able to pull something like that off because Moxley is obviously somebody that when I'm in the ring, that's somebody I've mirrored quite a bit actually. But to also think that there's fans out there that want to see that, I would love to get the opportunity to make that happen.
Yeah, that just speaks highly of you as a performer. For fans to come up to you, hey man, here's a bucket list. I wish you can work this guy, and this guy, and we will definitely come no matter where it's at. So that speaks high of you, man. So you gotta give yourself kudos on that. But James, we're about running out of time here. I'll try to keep these short for everybody. I know you just got home. You want to spend time with family. I totally understand that. But if you had any advice for any up and comer, would be wrestler that wants to get into the business, what would a big piece of advice that you would give?
So this is not coming directly out of me. This is not my words, but this is something I have taken to heart since I heard it. It came from the late, great Bray Wyatt, somebody else that I loved dearly and that I would have loved to have gotten the ring with, and somebody that I freaking treasure. I've got his symbol tattooed on my leg, by the way. Be the color red in a world full of black and white. Stand out. Make yourself different.
That's 100% advice. James, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you reaching out. We'll definitely get you back on the show sometime, maybe for a roundtable or something. I think that'd be pretty cool. I'm
cool with it.
Tell the people where they can find you at, man.
Oh, dude. So Facebook, James Harris. That's the biggest one you can find me at. I'm trying to get better about the rest of myself. I'm very bad at keeping up with those. I'm trying to get better about that. But Facebook's where all the information goes.
All right, brother. Sounds good. Folks, go ahead and check out James Harris at Strong Style Pro, which is located in was it Madison Heights, Virginia, correct?
Yes, that is where the school is. The Strong Style Center is in Madison Heights, Virginia. That's where me and Billy Warlock are currently training the next crop of students. If anybody's in that area and you want to be a pro wrestler, hit us up.
There you go, guys. You heard him. As always, I'm Joe Monroe. Thank you so much for coming on to another episode of the Wednesday Night Special. If you love professional wrestling, always support the crazy sport of professional wrestling. But if you're going to be a troll about it and just whine and complain, read above, shut up and enjoy professional wrestling, or else I'll have to stick James Harris on it. All right, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you Friday. Actually, I want to have another guest on. Who are we going to have on again, Mark? Can you pull that up? Can we pull that up again? Are you going to be in fidget? Do you have it? You don't have it. Of course you don't. Well, never work with family, folks. All right, with that being said, you all have a great night, and we will see you Friday.
Did you like the video? Don't forget to go like, subscribe, and follow us on all of our social media outlets. We'll see you next time.